does what he's also really good at and submits him.
Or maybe he's more patient with his attack.
Moving his head more, kind of like...
Doesn't empty the gas tank in the second round when he has him hurt.
Can Topuria bounce back and be the same guy and have that same aura, same persona?
I see Ilia is a good fighter, bro. He's hard. He have good punch, he have good wrestling, good skills in the ground. But if he focus again, maybe he will be champion again. I don't know.
And I think, of course, Ilia would entertain because that's a matchup that puts him back up there. That's a matchup that if he potentially is victorious in that, Ilia's back and looking for that opportunity to potentially fight for his title again.
Ilia Topuria is still, in my book, the #1 fighter in the world. I promise you guys, when the comeback comes, you will see what happens. Paddy Pimblett, fucking Islam, Usman, fucking Gaethje, it doesn't matter who.
Meanwhile, Ali Abdelaziz disagrees, claiming his fighter, Usman Nurmagomedov, would beat Ilia Topuria if they fought.
I said it, Usman said it. This is just who's the best in the world today.
Okay, all right, so that being said, the best lightweight in the UFC...
I'm gonna tell you something. The fight I want, if he go to the UFC, I want Ilia Topuria, first fight. First fight.
Woo!
Why not? Listen, there's a beef there. Ilia created a beef. He created a pie. He put it a pie. And the pie would not put in the oven because he ran out of gas. In fact, Justin Gaethje, straight up. He ran out of gas. He talked a lot of things. He wrote a lot of checks, couldn't cash. Guess what? I'm bringing the whole fire. And if these people want this fight to happen, we can make it happen.
Kamaru Usman addressed a potential matchup with Usman Nurmagomedov, calling it a beneficial fight for Topuria.
Like I said, there's a lot of fun matchups right now because you're right. If Usman was to come into the UFC, right, I mean, that is a tremendous matchup that I think, of course, the UFC would entertain. And I think, of course, Ilia would entertain because that's a matchup that puts him back up there. That's a matchup that if he potentially is victorious in that, Ilia's back and looking for that opportunity to potentially fight for his title again.
Tsarukyan floated names for Topuria's next opponent, arguing this stage calls for a safe fight rather than an explosive one.
I like the protecting, you know?
However, Malki Kawa fired back, saying Topuria finishes any competition in front of him, Usman included.
Come on. All right, so now back to the MMA stuff, right? If you see my last post, you got this guy. He's sitting there with two of his clients, right? And one of them happens to be Usman. And they're sitting here talking about his next opponent. And then, oh yeah, he will beat this guy, and he will beat that guy, and he will do this, and he will do that. Guy, shut the f*** up. Ilia Topuria will annihilate 100% of your roster, including, if we fought Gaethje again, buddy, he will beat the shit out of him.
Despite their rivalry, Arman Tsarukyan has voiced support for Topuria's comeback, saying he needs full focus in his fight camp.
Phenom that he was going into this fight?
Yeah, he can come back, definitely. And I think the lose is gonna give him a lot of lessons, not to be overconfident, respect your opponent, you know, and keep grinding, you know.
So you think those celebrations before and the Instagram record and all that, he's not going to do that anymore?
Yeah, he was. I think he was more focused on his media stuff more than training camp.
Okay.
Ilia Topuria's manager, Maldonado, says the fighter will return stronger, predicting an epic comeback that annihilates anyone in his path.
Ilia Topuria is still, in my book, the #1 fighter in the world. I promise you guys, when the comeback comes, you will see what happens. Paddy Pimblett, Islam, Usman, Gaethje, it doesn't matter who, doesn't matter when, okay? You guys will see a masterclass. That's what that is.
Not everyone is showing sympathy. Paddy Pimblett told Daniel Cormier he is fake. He is so fake, lad. Everything is just orchestrated. I have seen him behind the scenes. He is the fakest person. Dan Hardy has made a similar point, saying Ilia Topuria's overconfidence cost him a fight that was his to win.
In the first round, I was surprised at Ilia. Like, he was walking at Gaethje like he couldn't get hurt. You know, it was almost like in his mind, he was going to knock him out with that overhand right, and he just needed to stay close enough to start slipping and countering. But I think he took for granted, like, how effective Justin's boxing is. I mean, his jab is so difficult to read. A lot of Trevor Whitman's fighters are. Their jab's so difficult to read that Topuria wasn't able to get his head off the center line. And everything that Gaethje does is so concussive, isn't it? There's just such a thud to it. So I don't even think he was expecting it to be that damaging when he was feeling it. Like, it was doing bone damage as opposed to concussive damage, you know? That's a different kind of power.
Aljamain Sterling shared his take on what Ilia Topuria's return could look like.
Yeah. Going in there doing this to Topuria, can Topuria bounce back and be the same guy and have that same aura, same persona that people are going to step in the octagon with him and be a little hesitant to want to go in there with him because of what he's done in the past, but then also knowing that, yo, it's just like us, man. He puts his fucking pants on the same way we do, one leg at a time, unless he could jump and put both on at the same time.
Furthermore,
Jones calls Ilia Topuria one of the best fighters in the sport, expecting him to outclass the competition once he's fully recovered.
It's like he's a perfect fighter right now. His grappling looks wonderful. His discipline, the way he carries himself, he's always lean, always strong. I hear that he spends millions of dollars in his recovery and his wellness and his supplements, his boxing level, his power. He seems like the fighter of the future.
Rogan says Ilia Topuria's return will hinge on skill and strategy, avoiding the pace that wore him down last time.
Him and Ilia's left hook is phenomenal. That left hook to the body.
Ilia just does such a good job. Once he gets going and he hits a slip and he's just like, bink, bink, bink. It's almost like Conor-esque, the way he just lines up his shots. Vintage Conor.
Vintage Conor. Like
Alexander Volkanovsky says Ilia Topuria would win if he ever gets a rematch against Justin Gaethje.
If they fight again, do you think it's the same result? Do you think Justin's just a bad matchup for him, or he figures it out?
No. I don't think. I think if he fights the right fight, he will learn a lot from that. I think Ilia wins the rematch, and that's that's no knock on Justin at all. It's just like, obviously Ilia was a favorite for a reason, but yeah, I just think that Ilia, if he doesn't rush as much, fights at a little bit better distance, and then does what he usually does, sets up nice traps, he'll eventually find him. But yeah, being so aggressive is sort of what cost him, I believe.
Volkanovsky broke down what led to Topuria's defeat and what must change for a better result next time.
Yeah, 100%. That's what I mean by rushed it. Like, he rushed it as in, I'm getting the finish, I'm getting it straight away. It's a White House card. Let's put a finish on. Let's another first round knockout. He had that sort of. He would have been confident. He definitely could have pulled that off. But if you don't, it's all right fight's the right fight. You will run into shots, run into punches, and you will gas. And that's sort of what happened. So look, it was a risk, and a risk that Ilia took. And that was a choice he made, and it could have paid off for him. You've seen him; he did hurt Justin a few times.
Mendez says Topuria will be the toughest test for any fighter he trains.
He matches up extremely well with every one of those guys. The guy that's going to be the toughest puzzle, in my opinion, is Topuria. He's going to be the toughest puzzle, but we'll get him solved too. But he's the toughest puzzle, and he's the one I would have the most respect going up against. Just me, my personal opinion. Habib's opinion may be different. Other coaches that train Usman might have different, but my opinion is our toughest task that we have to work on is Ilia. And we would do it. I know we would do it, but he is definitely by far our toughest challenge, I feel.
Demetrius Johnson has expressed sympathy for Ilia Topuria, saying he expects him to come back stronger despite the setback.
Like, I'm still a big Ilia Topuria fan. I think he's going to come back stronger than this. I think he just came and fought Justin Gaethje, and Justin Gaethje was just on that night. Habib said it. Paddy said it. Everybody said it. Tony Ferguson said it. Everybody says that this man hits like a truck.
Jon Jones shares that outlook too, saying Ilia Topuria's mentality will carry him through the comeback.
Ilia's he's gonna be in a good position. He has faith. He has a strong team, and that's a lot of what it takes. He has a work ethic. I think he's honest with himself. Ilia and I, we share the same agent, and we were talking about him earlier today. And what I heard was that he's humble, that he is honest. He realized that he just didn't perform well, and I think that's the number one step of getting back into the ring in a healthy way. It's the guys that make excuses. That's when it's hard to come back and win that rematch. Guys who just say, you know what, I could have did better. I could have done more. Honesty with yourself is the key to MMA. Knowing exactly who you are, what you've done, what you haven't done. You can't lie once you get in that cage. What's real will come to the light.
Ilia Topuria himself has addressed his own struggles since the loss and how he's working to manage them.
So it changed in 1 second. So it was a little bit hard, but at the end of the day, when something is out of my control, I just decide to do whatever is under my control. And that wasn't, so it came to my life. I had to live it. I had to figure out how I would fix everything.
So where do things stand with Topuria's return? Does he turn the tables on this crop of contenders, or does he fall short? Leave your take in the comments, and if you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe for more MMA news. Sterling is upbeat about the comeback, but warns Topuria against repeating what cost him last time.
He got ahead of himself too. I felt like he was trying to put an exclamation point, bow tie ribbon on the finish, where he could have submitted him or maybe just go for the TKO, but instead he went for the Khabib-like mounted triangle that Khabib hit on Gaethje, and he was in the same position, was going for the same sequence, and I go, brother, this is either going to be really dope or it's going to be the reason you lose. And he lost the position. Gaethje gets back up, and man, just everything he did in the approach. If they had a rematch, maybe the fight goes different. Maybe Topuria, if he does, he takes him down and does what he's also really good at and submits him.
Rogan also questioned why Ilia Topuria would stay at his current weight, suggesting a drop down could serve him better.
He's that talented. If he takes the right lessons, that's going to be a super inspirational thing to overcome. It's going to be hard, but I sure hope we get to witness that.
I wonder if he's going to stay at 155. There are big guys at 155, and he wasn't that big for 45. You know, when you think about weight cutting in the modern era.
Islam Makhachev has echoed that sentiment, saying he wants to see Ilia Topuria come back and become champion again.
What do you think happens next?
Sure, he will back, you know, because he's still young, bro. He have time, and I hope he will come back and show good performance, because I see Ilia is good fighter, bro. He's hard. He have good punch, he have good wrestling, good skills in the ground. But if he focus again, maybe he will be champion again. I don't know.
Okay. Do you think?
But this fight changes life, but we don't know which way.
Joe Rogan says Ilia Topuria remains one of the best fighters on the UFC roster, despite the loss.
That's how good Ilia Topuria is. That's how good Ilia Topuria is. Ilia Topuria, in many people's eyes, is the most skilled of the new generation, and the new generation is the most skilled of all time. And Ilia was like the top of the mountain. And most people thought that he was going to be too much, and he was too much for a while.
Furthermore, Sonnen believes a Gaethje rematch would be a great fight, giving Topuria a fair shot at reclaiming the belt.
Don't take off the table a rematch with Gaethje. That's the one thing that nobody's talking about. It's very seldomly that we've seen a fight that was as great as that fight and we don't instantly start talking about rematch. But we didn't do it here, and we didn't do it out of respect. It was a respect for what Justin achieved, and it was a respect for what Ilia gave. But that psychology will go away in a few weeks. In a few weeks, you'll forget about the damage. You'll forget about the doctor. You'll forget about the referee. You'll forget about little brother that all said, stop. You'll forget about that. And you'll just remember what an awesome fight that was. So there's a lot of things that are on the table for Ilia, but it's a massive situation of out of the frying pan and into the fire.
Sonnen also questions Topuria's physical and mental state, and how that carries into any potential return fight.
I want to bring this to your attention that Ilia Topuria was put in a colossally difficult situation. He had all sorts of things in his personal life that were none of our business, but seeped over. Now it's not just a matter of you're not sparring, you're not in the gym doing anything, you're not hitting mitts, you're not jumping rope, his legs were all banged up, he's not doing running, like he's going to have a period of time off. That isn't going to get him closer to the goal of being able to do what the human body's not meant to do, which is go 25 minutes. But when he returns, it's what he's going to be asked to do.
Makhachev says Topuria remains a threat, but must shift his priorities and drop the attitude that cost him last time.
Honestly, I'm surprised because if you ask me, I choose Ilia. But you know, when you sound like when you become champion and you like lose the focus, it's happened, bro. It's happened. This is very dangerous sport, and I think what's happened with Ilia. He just underestimated him because he thinking he can beat him easy, he can knock him out, he believe his power. But Gaethje is the real dog, you know. He can fight all night. And what's happened is Ilia. He spent too much energy, try to knock him out, try to land some hard punch, and he become tired.
Jones goes further, saying Topuria's skill set even surpasses that of Islam Makhachev.
If I had to gamble, I would pick Topuria because Topuria has superior stand-up. I feel like Islam has the better wrestling. I feel as if Topuria has more submission skills, but I feel like the knockout power of Topuria makes him slightly better. Either one of those guys can win on any night, but if I had to personally gamble on that fight, I think I would put my money on Ilia.
Chael Sonnen is far more hesitant, pointing to a lack of training and the serious injuries from Topuria's last fight. Cardio, he says, is a separate issue.
Lifestyle is something different. To achieve the red blood cells, to achieve the lactic acid, to achieve a VO2 max. It gets scientific at that point. Fine. This is still the situation. But the reason I take the time to tell you all of that is Ilia is now going to be removed for a period of time. Let's say his next fight is in 5 months. And I think per the contract, at least mathematically, it's supposed to be in 4 months, right? 3 fights a year, that's 12. So it's supposed to be in 4 months. But let's just say that it's in 5 months. It doesn't really matter. He can't return to the gym. He can't return to the gym for a period of time. And then he's going to be knee-deep in doctors and commissions and whatever's going on with his eyes, which we don't know, but we're guessing when we like to play doctor that he's got orbital fractures, which is nothing to mess around with.
Furthermore, Topuria has spoken about his training and the battles every fighter faces, especially at their lowest point.
There are a lot of things that you have to do when you go inside the octagon. So it's the mindset, it's the preparation, it's your internal conversation, your thought process, you know, because we all fighters, we know, like when we are in the backstage, the kind of thoughts that we face. If you can't beat that, probably you're gonna lose that fight. So that's why all the time when I'm in the backstage before the fight, I know the kind of questions that I used to ask to myself. And I prepare myself during the whole training camp to answer that questions. And usually they are like, if this is gonna happen, what I'm gonna do. If I'm gonna feel tired, what I'm gonna do. If this, whatever. I have answers for everything because I faced all those kind of situations in the training camps.
Rogan called it rough, but says Ilia Topuria made the smartest possible decision going in.
future.
But I think maybe more significantly was the eye damage. Both of his eyes were swollen shut. His nose was fucked up. He'd taken so many punches to the face, and it looked like perhaps orbital damage, like maybe he had a fractured orbital, because his whole thing had just swollen up on both sides. He was unrecognizable. And, you know, the guy hung in there as long as he could. But when you can't see, you can't see. And when you're that battered, sometimes it's smart to stop. And he's a very smart guy, and I think he realized, like, I can't defend myself right now. I can't see. This guy's smashing me. Let's call it a day. This is what it is. Let's preserve my body and my brain and rebuild and come back another day.
Johnson also broke down what kind of fighter he expects to see whenever Topuria returns.
Is he going to come back more timid? Is he going to come back more aggressive? I mean, having your over the bone broke, being knocked out, being finished is...
Javier Mendez calls Ilia Topuria one of the best fighters in the world, absorbing almost anything thrown his way.
To what they would like, because every time you get hit